Survivors, get ready, man, as ARK Survival Ascended is going to blow your mind, dude. We're talking about some updates to Unreal Engine 5 upgrades related to free maps, getting that upgrade. We've got discussion on brand new creatures being added into the game. We even have a fresh new story expansion potentially planned here for 2025. So without further ado, guys, let's dive into everything you need to know and why this is possibly the biggest year for ARK Survival Ascended. So starting things off, let's talk about the brand new roadmap. As you guys can see here on the screen, this is the brand new the most updated roadmap that has been given to us via the most recent community crunch. Wildcard actually broke down exactly what they're aiming for and what they're targeting to release in 2025. Unfortunately, some things that we expected to arrive are actually being delayed and pushed off until 2026. But what this image is you see on screen is the brand new updated roadmap. And now via this roadmap, we can see in March, we actually have the Unreal Engine 5.5 upgrade. They talk a little bit more about it in the community crunch. They mentioned there's steady progress being made on the Unreal Engine 5.5 upgrade, which will bring a range of impactful performance improvements along with our ongoing work splitting DLC maps into optimal downloads so you'll have more control over your storage space. And alongside that, they mentioned the Nvidia Frame Gen and how it is still a priority and that they are aiming to reintroduce it as an option very soon. I know the engine upgrade and the frame generation are two things that people were looking forward to the most when they first announced these being things that they are working on as priority for ASA. And unfortunately, it has not been done yet. But I am very hopeful for both of these, and I do think they are going to be very impactful for players across the board by just increasing frame rates, just stability overall for the game. Hopefully the optimization becomes a lot clearer, the game can run a lot smoother for basically every single platform. Now the next big thing for the roadmap brings us all the way out to April of 2025 of this year, and that, my friends, is the very first thing we have heard on Ragnarok. Yeah, you heard me correctly. They have mentioned Ragnarok finally and officially. We haven't heard anything up until this point, but it looks like they're going to be aiming for April of 2025 to drop Ragnarok, and alongside it, the brand new Bison creature. They did show off the Bison creature via the Extra Life event of 2024. We did get to see some concept art, and they did get to give us a little bit of information about the creature, but I am very excited to see it worked in, but I'm more excited for the release of the Ragnarok map. I know a lot of people out there in the community, this is one of their most favorite maps from ASC, and they're very excited to see it remastered and reworked here for ASA. Let's just hope the rework is a lot more like Extinction's rework and not the center map. And now speaking on new things, they also mentioned here in June that they have a new premium map. Obviously it says to be announced. They don't have any information about it currently besides this community crunch when they announced it, but I will state there is a lot, and I mean a lot of concern regarding the wording that they chose. They chose the word premium map, and a lot of people are speculating that that means it's not a free map, it's going to be a paid map. But let me know what your thoughts are on this down below in the comment section. Obviously, we have to wait until we get more information to really dive deep into this one. And lastly, for new things that we can expect here in 2025, brings us to the brand new map, Valguero. You guys know that Valguero was as well a very beloved map alongside Ragnarok and ASC. Well, now it's being worked on, officially being developed, and they're aiming to drop it in August of 2025. And one thing I want to tell you guys about Valguero, and that is Nakatis is also being a head lead on that development, man. Just like he was back in ASC, he's also going to be the lead development here for ASA's version of Valguero, and that makes me very, very excited. I think he does a wonderful job, and both of his maps are ready for Svartalfheim and Astraeos are literally, I want to say, the community's probably most favorite modded maps out of all of the maps for ASA already. So I can only imagine how well it's going to look and perform here going into Valguero coming up in August of 2025. And now, like I said at the beginning here, this is actually a bittersweet video because although we do have some really awesome announcements and things that we can expect for new content in 2025, they also have some delays and setbacks, and some of them I'm actually quite surprised about. And first up on that list brings us to Genesis Ascended Part 1 and Part 2. Wildcard via the community crunch says we want to take a bit more time to give the Genesis Ascended Remaster the love and attention it deserves. And I honestly don't blame them here. I think after seeing the remastered version versions of the maps that we've had in 2024, a lot of them felt rushed or copy and paste and, you know, just simply underwhelming compared to all of the hype that they tried pumping out behind the remastered versions. So if they need a little bit more time or they really want to hone in and, you know, make sure that the remastered version is really good, there's no bugs, there's not tons of meshing and holes, or it doesn't feel like a direct copy and paste, well, hey, I'm all for it. And on top of Genesis being delayed now until 2026, one thing that actually really surprised me and caught me off guard, and that is the next version or iteration of Bob's Tall Tales, or aka Bob's True Tales, that they announced a while back. It looks like they're also going to be postponing launching that until 2026 alongside Genesis. And a lot of those, I think, were big money makers, right? They had a lot of sales pouring in from those when you look at like their quarter, you know, numbers. So I'm very curious to know what their plan is for 2025 when it comes to money and revenue and generating additional money. If they're not planning to launch the Bob's True Tales Part 1 and 2 until 2026. So I don't know. I just think that's very interesting. And like I said, it caught me off guard. Maybe they're hoping to generate a lot more revenue by putting those off and generate a lot more via the premium map and then the Fantastic Tames. Because if we do look at the community crunch, they do mention Fantastic Tame a couple of times. They talk about it back in April of 2025. They also talk about another Fantastic Tame being dropped in August alongside Valguero. Then they also then mention at the very, very bottom here that they do plan to drop 3 more Fantastic Tames throughout the year. It looks like potentially of 2026. So maybe the Fantastic Tames, the premium mod that they're going to sell, and then maybe even any surprise collaborations, things like the Power Rangers collab with custom cosmetics, might be their avenue of what they're hoping to gain a lot more pocket money to continue development on the game. I don't know. That's just my personal theory. And then as far as live ops updates here, the developers are officially back from winter break, and they've listed out in the community crunch a handful of things that they're focusing in on as their priority to get fixed sooner than later. The very first one would be like creature spawning issues. There's a bunch of different spawning issues on the brand new Extinction map that, you know, creatures aren't showing up or they're spawning underneath the mesh, you name it. We've got battle rig functionality, which if you guys haven't checked out my live streams recently, or if you haven't tuned into anything Monarchy Thunderdome for the 60+ creator event, we just had our very first race, which took place yesterday. There's tons and tons of stream replays out there, but yeah, go check it out. I mean, it's really, really funny, but on top of being funny, it is very frustrating, especially for people on the official network or people that are actually trying to use the battle rigs in a, you know, formal setting or like an actual PvE setting. They're just broken. They don't work, right? They go into the mesh, they get hung up, they get stuck on every little tiny thing, you name it. It's a giant pain. So really, really hope that they can get that one fixed sooner than later. They've got your general crash fixes, so anytime that your game client would be crashing for you for whatever reason, obviously that's not fun for any player. They've got general improvements, and then even fixing exploits that there's a couple of them have been, you know, noted, and they're trying to tackle those as soon as possible to make the game fair for everyone. And with that being said, survivors, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything ARK related. If you guys are looking for an awesome ARK community cluster to call home, check out the video you see here on screen as I break down everything that our ARK community cluster has to offer and what you guys are directly missing out on by not joining.